I'm safe, I'm near a window. No, get away from windows as well. All right, there's the radar, widen it out. These are the big storms. Frederick, Hagerstown, along I-81 and north. They're pushing up toward the Maryland-PA border and up toward Baltimore. This is the storm that's produced a tornado warning, Doppler indicated, and that goes until 8:15 for Frederick County in Maryland. It was the same one that we saw earlier out in West Virginia and parts of Western Virginia. So this is the warning. And again, if you're east of this, okay, say, uh-oh, it's in Frederick. I live east of Frederick. I better start taking precautions. Get it to an interior room, call a friend, text a friend. So it's headed toward Sandyville at about 8:23 and Reisterstown at about 8:46. And this is the storm. And it's the same storm that's been really pretty intense. It's either been heavy or severe for about the last 2 hours. That's pretty impressive for the life of a thunderstorm. Average life is about 45 minutes to an hour. So this is the tornado warning, okay, between Walkersville and around I-70. So it's essentially just north of I-70. It goes until 8:15, and it does include the town of Frederick. But right now, I think if you're a little further east toward McKeag, I think that's where I'd be more concerned about some damaging winds and possibly a small tornado. Lift everything off. So here we go. So around 26. North of McKeag, I think that's probably your danger zone right now. Libertytown, prepare. Linganore, also prepare. So this red box is the tornado warning until 8:15, and essentially just sort of parallels I-70 and then points north. We'll zoom in a little bit. Riverside Place, yes. Mount Pleasant, yes. Old Annapolis Road, these are some areas that could be experiencing some strong winds, perhaps an EF0 tornado. Gas House Pike, and also Linganore Road as well. So this is the area, Frederick County, Maryland. We had one in Frederick County, Virginia. Now we have one in Frederick County, Maryland until 8:15. Again, in terms of vorticity, which shows us the potential for spin to and from the radar site, is not really impressive right now, which is kind of good. It could be hidden a little bit by heavy rain, but right now it's a Doppler indicated tornado. And again, hall, stairwell, away from windows, cover yourself with a mattress for protection. Yes, best case scenario is the basement. That's the safest place you can go during a tornado warning. All right, we have traffic cams. So what do we have? We have I-70, okay, west of 270. So this storm is essentially just leaving that location. That's still some heavy rain. You see the tractor trailer pushing up a lot of rain on the road. They've already had their heavy rain. This storm's a little bit, it's just a little bit to the east, the heaviest rain. So that gives you an idea of the intensity of the storm. That's not even the worst part of it, although it's still very, very heavy up there. So here's the radar, big picture. There's the storm. Frederick, Hagerstown, pretty big storm. Wouldn't want to be on the road between Frederick and Hagerstown right now. Rainfall rate's well over an inch per hour. Still some light activity north of D.C. and light activity down toward Warrenton. But in terms of severe weather, here it is. There's the tornado warning for Frederick County, Maryland until 8:15. Still some heavy rain back to the west. We may see another flood warning posted. We saw this posted earlier because of that same storm. And it's posted till 11 o'clock for Berkeley, Jefferson, and Washington County for aerial flood warning. So don't cross a flooded street or a road if you're back in that area. And again, this is the tornado warning for Frederick County, Maryland until 8:15. Headed toward Woodville at about 8, so about 8 minutes away from Woodville. Sandyville about 8:23, and it is Doppler indicated. Yes, sir.
Yeah,
what you got?
All right, so I've been just keeping an eye on what the National Weather Service is saying. Again, we're still tracking. This is the same storm system that came through West Virginia that brought the severe weather and the building collapse right in the Charlestown area there. Still unconfirmed injuries with that, but at least one person was injured. This storm, this is a 3-hour loop here. You can see it coming out of West Virginia and across Frederick and Washington counties, moving east around 25 miles per hour, has had a history of producing damage, which is why the National Weather Service decided to go ahead and issue the warning on this. The radar data unfortunately out of the Dulles radar is not very good. It's a terrible angle for them to see with this, but based on what they're seeing from some of the radars on some of the radars of the local airports here, including BWI and at Dulles, the alternate radar there. They are thinking this may be producing a tornado. If anything, damaging winds with this storm. It would be just east of downtown Frederick now as it continues to slide off to the east. Still, Frederick, you are in the warning, so take shelter now. Again, that safe space is the basement, the lowest level of your home, apartment, complex, wherever you are, and as many walls in between you and the outside as possible. Interior closet, interior bathroom. Again, Frederick, if you live in Libertytown, and I'd even go ahead and say if you live just north of New Market, you are in that warning area. Maryland Route 26, Maryland 75. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit closer to name a couple streets for you of where this possible tornadic cell would be. There we are, Gas House Pike and Ridgefield Drive. There's Sebastian Boulevard, Old Liberty Road there. That's Maryland Route 26. And then up towards Walkersville as well. You guys are kind of at the edge of that tornado warning. And then if you live in Libertytown, just go ahead and get into your shelter now if you live in or near Libertytown. North Street, Daysville Road, looks like Dolly Hyde Road as well, and Fountain School Road. You are all included in that warning. If you live off of Central Church Road, over to the New London area, and again, Gas House Pike and McCaig. If you live in those areas, potential tornadic storm moving through right now, and that we're tracking here on WUSC 9. This is a tornado warning until 8:15. There's Frederick there. Here's Interstate 70, Bartonsville, and then this goes out towards Mount Airy. If you know someone who's driving this section of I-70 between Mount Airy and Frederick, tell them they got to pull over right now the closer they are to Frederick, just because the warning does include portions of Interstate 70 there. And again, you want to get into that lowest level of your home. If you don't have a basement, you want to get into the lowest level, the first floor. As many walls between you and the outside as possible. That is the safest place. Grab a bike helmet, some pillows, cover yourself if you live in this warning area. It's not a joke. Seriously, this saves lives, okay? Interior room as far away from windows as possible. You stay away from the windows, and then duck and cover. Protect your head, as I mentioned there. Head and neck, super important. So we'll continue to track this storm as it continues to move through the Frederick area and points to the east again into Libertytown. That's where it looks like it's making a beeline for, and Maryland Route 75 there, north of New Market. So, Topper, I'm going to toss it back to you. What do you have?
Okay, we have a traffic camera. This is from US 15 at Maryland 26 and US 15 north. So the storm is essentially a little north and a little east of you. So it's improving there, but you can see roads are saturated. I mean, it rained very, very hard there in the last half an hour. So we still have the tornado warning for Frederick County, Maryland, until 8:15. So we'll go back to the radar here, and we'll track this for you. And it's moving off to the east at a pretty good clip. Not as fast as some storms that produce tornadoes move, but still a pretty good clip. And I want to kind of go over some of the towns that Chester was mentioning, so you can kind of take cover and sort of, be advised. So Libertytown, you definitely, most definitely, should take this seriously. So that's right where 26 runs in, just west of Libertytown. Linganore, you still are technically under the warning area, and it is headed towards Sam's Creek and Winfield as we go through the next, say, half an hour or so. So again, this is serious stuff. If you are in Libertytown right now, that is about as serious as you can get. So just sort of keep that in mind. The storm is moving off to the east, and it's going to cross eventually through Sam's Creek, and then again kind of in between Sam's Creek and Winfield. Sometimes these do make a little bit of a right turn. They go a little further south. That's why I want you guys in Linganore to keep watching this and keep safe. Again, so this is I-70 here. This is Route 97. That's Georgia Avenue that goes all the way up out past Albany and then across I-70 up into Winfield. And that is where that storm could go in the next half an hour. Again, we have the tornado warning in effect until 8:15 for Frederick County, and that is Frederick County in Maryland. That's the danger there. Even if it weren't a tornado, I think we still have to say, hey, you know what? This is pretty serious, and we may see some strong gusty winds anyway with the storm. I'm going to take some of the, I'll take the radar off, I think, just to sort of unclutter it. So there's the tornado warning with the radar on. Here it is without the radar. And we'll zoom in and sort of, try to figure out, where the critical areas are. Libertytown is definitely the critical area. There's Chestnut Grove, Old Annapolis Road, around 75. That's serious stuff. So I'm going to drop the radar back on, and you can see the storm is just west of Libertytown now. Heavy rain in Mount Pleasant, but I'll take this off, and you saw a little tiny bit of a notch here. Not as pronounced as it was earlier when we had the warning earlier this afternoon and this evening, but still a little bit of a notch. And so we'll put the radar back. So Libertytown, you are definitely in the track of this heavy storm. And I want to emphasize again that even if it's not a tornado, it still can produce dangerous winds. I mean, you can still have injuries with severe thunderstorms. And so I think it's important to just sort of know that this is dangerous, even if it is a tornado or not a tornado for Libertytown. And points east along I-26. This thing is essentially trying to follow I-26 to the east, and we'll see if this warning is extended further east, or if this is just going to be like the last warning that had Doppler indicated tornado, and then they said, oh, okay, the storm's weakening a little bit. Thoughts on the extension of this, Chester?
Good question. I don't know at this point. I do think it's possible. There's still some rotation, and I'm going to pull that up for you here on the radar right now. So there's Frederick there. It does appear that the rotation is east of town, right in this area, north of I-70, and between there and Route 26 there. So I'm going to show you what we call the velocity, and this is probably where the rotation would be. This would be indicative of where the tornado is. So regular radar is outside this cone. Inside the cone, when we see those different colors, that could be indication of a rotating winds, and that can come down to the surface in the form of a tornado. So if you live, again, we've been really talking about you guys in Libertytown there along 75. Take shelter immediately. This area here, Mount Pleasant and Gas House Pike, again, that is about where the rotation is, east of downtown Frederick, east of the city of Frederick here. So it looks like the worst of it is getting out of Frederick now, but if you live east of the city, again, along Gas House Pike, Old Annapolis Road, Walker Road, Route 26, you want to get into your shelter immediately, because this possible tornado would be making a beeline for this area east to northeast here, somewhere along this corridor from Libertytown down south on 75, north of Interstate 70. I'd say from Old Annapolis Road up to Libertytown. If you live anywhere in this zone, back to Gas House Pike there, that's the zone where we're most concerned about a possible tornado. So again, lowest level of your home. If you live in a mobile home, you want to get out of that. That is not a safe place to be. If you know someone who's driving, they should not be in a car. Do not get under an overpass. That's an old information there. You want to get to a structure, a building that is sturdy and safe, a gas station, a church, a neighbor's house that is built into the ground, interior rooms away from windows, duck and cover, protect your head, helmet, blankets, pillows, whatever you got, whatever it takes to keep you safe. That's what we're asking you to do with this tornado warning, which continues again. This is until 8:15 here for this warning for areas east of Frederick now. So again, I think the city of Frederick, you're about to be clear. I'm not saying you're clear yet, but you're about to be clear. But areas east of there, certainly we're going to be concerned about you guys through 8:15, another 15 minutes here as this storm cell continues to push off to the east. And again, this is where the rotation would be. So between Walkersville and, let's say, Route 144, Interstate 70 area there, that area between Newmarket and Frederick on 70, if you live north of that, on the north side of that, this is where that possible rotation would be with this cell as it moves towards Libertytown and along Old Annapolis Road, Old Walker Road, Gas House Pike, those areas there east of the city, almost as far as Clemensville Road, it looks like, in Woodsville Road there. So if you live west of those areas, Maryland Route 75, that is where we're most concerned about a potential tornado here coming out of the Libertytown area, Chestnut Grove, Mount Pleasant area. Again, that is where that potential rotation is. And I'm looking at the radar, and the rotation actually looks kind of impressive at the moment here north of Bartonsville and east of Frederick. So again, right about that area I was circling earlier here on the radar. So let me move in just a little bit closer. So there's the warning area again until 8:15. And once again, this little, you see this little change here in the colors between the green and the red. And I'm looking at it on a different interface topper on our radar scope as well. And it shows up very well on the radar scope. So again, I'm really concerned about the folks who live in Walkersville here in Libertytown. It just looks like there is a broad rotation in this area here with this possible storm moving off to the east at this 8 o'clock hour this morning, again, until 8:15, Topper.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it looks pretty daunting up there. And again, even if it weren't a tornado, it could still produce winds of 50, 60 miles per hour, which will do plenty of damage. So you want to be off the road here between Frederick and Baltimore, I-70, and also I-270 as you go up north toward Frederick. So there's the warning, and that goes until 8:15 for Frederick County, Maryland. And this is what Chester's talking about. It's a very broad rotation, and this is a little rotation right here, a little hook, if you will, around Libertytown. So we'll zoom out, we'll track this in Taylorsville, maybe to Woodensburg. By the time we get to 8:47, if it holds together, it's going to still be a very strong storm, regardless of whether or not it has a tornado in it or not. I'll tell you that. We'll zoom back in. So Libertytown, yeah, you are really in not a good spot here. Hopefully you guys are taking it seriously and taking cover and getting away from windows. You don't want to be anywhere on Route 26 right now. And certainly Frederick, Frederick's almost out of the danger, as Chester mentioned, not quite. We'll take the radar off, and this is the area we're concerned about on Route 26 up toward Libertytown. No doubt that is going to be a problem. Old Annapolis Road could be also a place, probably just a little north of Gas House Pike at this point, kind of in between New London and Libertytown for this storm. This is the rotation, or what tells us, the vorticity tells us what, the velocity, what could be heading toward the radar site and away from the radar site. Nothing really jumps out at you right now, but still, if you are near Harry Grove Stadium or near Monocacy Boulevard or Controller Court or even Linganore Road, and there's Gas House Pike, I think you could certainly be experiencing strong winds, if not a little mini tornado, and rainfall like crazy. And it's going to get very, very dark there if it hasn't already. So we go over this over and over again, but it is important. As Chester said, it does save lives and prevent injuries. Go to an interior room, a hallway, stairwell, away from windows, and also, if you can, cover yourself with a mattress or blankets for protection, maybe in a bathtub if you have to go to a bathroom. But the best place by far, yes, is the basement. That is the best place, also away from windows in the basement. So there's the big picture. And there is the storm that's prompted the tornado warning for Frederick County in Maryland, and it is pushing off to the north and east. Now it's looking more like it's going a little more north and east, Chester, up toward Westminster.
I agree.
Yeah, and not so much due east. So that is good news for folks, along I-70. Not so good news for folks up near Westminster. So there's the warning, and it does have, a tremendous amount of rain in it, no doubt. And this is a pretty big storm. It extends pretty far back, still extends back west of Frederick, although I think we could probably clear Frederick now, maybe of the tornadic activity.
Yeah.
Some heavy rain, yes, maybe a few gusty winds, but you're pretty much done. But I'll tell you, Libertytown is not in a good spot right now. So Taylorsville, Winfield, Smallwood, I might even take this a little further north, up 97, up toward Hampstead maybe, well north of I-70 at this point. But there's the tornado warning in that red area, and that goes until 8:15. We'll take the radar off. You kind of can see a little more. There's Libertytown, there's Linganore, there's McKeag, and we'll zoom in a little more, and we think right now Old Annapolis Road might be experiencing some strong winds, and up near Daysville, I haven't mentioned Daysville. Daysville also could see the tornado, or certainly strong winds. And remember, when we talk about like EF0 tornadoes, sometimes they have the same wind speed as a severe thunderstorm. So whether or not this turns into a severe thunderstorm, it's still going to be a very strong storm, capable of producing, down limbs, down trees, power outages, that sort of thing. But right now, it is a tornado warning in effect until 8:15 for a good chunk of Frederick County. There's the velocity. Again, nothing really jumps out at me right now. Maybe up toward Newport Drive and Linganore Road. We can see a little bit of rotation, maybe up toward Monocacy Boulevard and East 9th Street. In this area, so just to the north now of Harry Grove Stadium and north of Newport Drive west up near Gas House Pike would be, I think, the areas that right now kind of stand out in terms of the track of this storm. Chester, do you have anything to add here?
Yeah, just waiting on an update from the National Weather Service, so I'll give you just a break here, Topper. Grab a glass of water. We'll stay on until this warning is expired. It's another 5-6 minutes. Trying to find out from the National Weather Service if they're going to extend this warning. If they were to do that, that would cover the last eastern portion of Frederick County and then move into areas up towards Westminster and north of Mount Airy as well. You can see here's Frederick there. There's the warning, and this is that storm cell that has really marched on for hours from West Virginia over into Maryland now. That tornado warning until 8:15 still in effect here. If you are in the city of Frederick, you're still technically in the warning, but the worst of it does appear to be east of town. But if you know anyone who's driving between Frederick and Libertytown, again, Maryland Route 26, Walkersville area, north of Bartonsville, that's where the rotation seems to be. I'm putting on the velocity here. The velocity shows us different winds, winds coming from different directions in a small area. And when you get that sort of a signal, that couplet of winds there, that's an indication of shear, changing winds with height and speed as well, and direction with height and speed as well. And so all that combined could be an indicator of a tornado. So again, it looks like it would be right in this area, kind of getting a hook here. Actually, radar just updated. So I would say right here, though, it doesn't look as well defined. Right here at McCaig, Gas House Pike, Eagle Head Drive, and that subdivision there, McCaig Road, Dance Hall Road, those areas here between Chestnut Grove and areas to the south towards Bartonsville. This is, so to get your bearings here, I'm going to move back just one picture here. Walkersville is north of this area, and then Libertytown is to the east here along 26. So it's at the very top of your screen here. Can't really see it. I'll move the radar just a bit. But that would be indicative of where the possible tornadic storm is. Again, the rotation is getting broader as these things tend to happen. If they do get very broad, that could be an indication of two things. A tornado that is getting bigger, which I don't think that's the case. I think in this case, I think the storm is weakening some, and that would be good if we have a broad rotation. That would be indicative of some sort of weakening going on. But the rotation still exists, so we're still concerned here of this possible tornado here. It would be now southeast of Walkersville and approaching that Libertytown area there. Again, the area we've been talking about, Maryland Route 75 and over to Old Annapolis Road, Gas House Pike, Central Church Road, if you live off of Maryland Route 26, Liberty Road, Old Liberty Road, and Chestnut, there it is, Chestnut Grove Road, those roads there, and Maryland Route 75 over down to the New London area, between Libertytown and New London there, Old Annapolis Road area. That is where the potential tornado would be. It would be this would be a broader rotation, but it would be in this area here. And again, this warning's until 8:15, so a few more minutes. So it does look like the tornado warning, let's see here, has been extended to 8:45 now. Yep. A new warning has been issued. Let me see if I can pull it out to a wide map here, and you can see, just as I suspected, Topper. That area eastern parts of Frederick County. So I'll let you take it away here, but we're going to keep going with this coverage as this tornado moves through our area. Once it gets out of Frederick County, the Baltimore TV stations will pick it up from there. But Topper, what are you seeing anything there?
Well, we got the Weather Explorer on the way up into Frederick, and they're just north of Gaithersburg right now, and you'll notice that there's really dry roads, essentially. So the storm is just north of there, and of course it becomes severe as you cross over the Montgomery County line into Frederick. So it's on the way up there, but this storm itself is holding together, and it's pretty intense. So here's the radar over the past couple of hours, and we may see some flood warnings posted here for Frederick once the storm passes. It's been pretty consistent in terms of heavy rainfall for now over an hour. And the rainfall rates have been between an inch, inch and a half, to almost an inch and 3/4. So here are the two separate warnings. So we have this warning now, and that's the old warning that goes until 8:15. But also, Chester, did you notice that the other warning actually backs this up?
Yeah.
It backs it up into Frederick, Maryland.
It does.
Until 8:45, and then extends it way through the county.
So it's much larger.
So I think we're worried about this storm back to the west, and then this is the storm that we're holding together that we're concerned about as it moves off to the east away from Frederick. So there's Libertytown. You probably have some big-time winds at this point. It's essentially moving pretty quickly now off to the east-northeast at about 25 miles an hour. Walkersville, your heavy rain is over for now, but 26 is just getting hammered with rain around Libertytown. That is just hammered. Frederick has some moderate to heavy rain, but again, that first storm has passed, but now we're turning our attention to the second storm, which goes, that prompted that warning back to 8:45, which is kind of unusual to see the tornado warning backed up a little bit and also extended off to the north and east. I'm not so sure I've seen that, Chester.
Yeah, it's a little
unusual.
It's unusual. We'll say that.
We'll leave it at that. So here are the warnings, taking everything off, a little easier to see now. So this is the first warning goes till 8 o'clock, and then the bigger red box goes until 8:45. Both are tornado warnings. So if you're in this area, Linganore or Libertytown particularly, or Bartonsville, hopefully you've taken cover by now, because it's pretty serious. It's a pretty monster storm. So these are the two warnings. Old Annapolis Road, Daysville, we talked about that earlier. I'd keep an eye out for Daysville as well, just north of 26. If this storm continues to move off to the northeast, you guys could also be right in the line of fire there. So now, okay, now it makes more sense now, Chester. Okay, so now we have, this makes sense. So no longer is this tornado warning back, including Frederick. That is cleared. It is redrawn. It is now Mount Pleasant to the north and to the east, which makes way more sense.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Now we've got our bearings.
Now we got our bearings. We're okay. So it's still headed toward Libertytown, and then eventually into some of the Baltimore suburbs. So this is where we're thinking of Bartonsville, northward toward McCraig, Gas House Pike, and maybe up toward Old Annapolis Road. So that's what we're thinking. So we'll widen this out again, and then I think we'll go off the air unless something else happens in our area, and Baltimore stations will pick this storm up. So there's the storm, and it's a monster storm. Still heavy rain around Frederick. That's over the past couple of hours. We'll zoom in now. We have the flood warning to the west, but now we have the tornado warning to the east and northeast of Frederick, and that goes until 8:45, which makes perfect sense now. So Walkersville, you're technically not under the warning. Libertytown, you really getting hammered at this point in time with that storm. And again, even if it weren't a tornado, you're going to have winds 50, 60, 65 miles per hour, which will do some damage. And we're also kind of concerned about some of the heavy rain as well. So any other traffic cameras or back to the Weather Explorer, Grace? There we go. Okay. So you see the clouds, see the darker clouds. They're heading right into the storm. But roads are still barely wet. They're getting a little closer to some of the, they got the windshield wipers on now. So just a little bit of the outer fringes of that storm producing some rain that far south, but they are headed toward Frederick. And we still have to talk about the building collapse that was around
Charlestown.
Yeah. And we have no further reports, but it was the same storm that produced two structure collapses, one around Charlestown and one west over toward Romney. It was the same storm. I mean, it absolutely was the same storm. So there's a tornado warning for Frederick County, and that goes until 8:45. Libertytown, watch out. And then I want to also talk about what's just to the east of Libertytown, and you guys, please, take this seriously. So let's say we've got Libertytown here, and you're under the warning right now. All right, so we're going to zoom in just a little bit, and so now we got to talk about Unionville Road and Barnes Road and Oak Orchard. Could be in the path of this possible tornado. In Clemsonville, you're getting heavy rain. Old New Windsor Road, Sam's Creek, you're also in the warning at this point in time, and so is Clemsonville as well. So is Oldfield. You're in the warning as well. We'll back out again, and there's the big picture. It's a good chunk of Frederick County, but notice it's east of Frederick, Maryland. But also notice you have this like trailing storm, sort of part of this storm that still has a lot of heavy rain.
Yeah,
around
flooding is
180.
going to be an issue.
Yeah, look, flooding's probably going to be an issue here, with Braddock. And so it's been raining here a long time, very, very heavily. And I can widen out a little bit more, and we'll see that we do have this flood warning over here for Berkeley, Jefferson, and Washington because of the same storm that brought the possible tornado and also the heavy rain through a bunch of the panhandle of West Virginia. It is now moved off to the east, but it is still, it's almost back building a little bit, Chester, back toward Frederick.
Yeah, definitely.
Let me loop this for the last.
I wouldn't say severe threat for Frederick, but the downpours are going to continue.
Yeah,
street flooding.
Flooding, which is severe also. We can't, I know tornadoes really gets your attention, but flooding is just as serious.
Right.
And it kills more people every year than tornadoes. So flash flooding is a big deal, and that is still very intense. So I'll stop the radar now. So there's where we are right now. Again, there are a few other storms around, some light showers out toward Fairfax and Aldie, but the severe weather really set up north of D.C. today, and this is a pretty big storm. I mean, if you were to tip to tail, this storm is 31 miles. That's a pretty big thunderstorm.
And it still has a good amount of rotation. I'm looking at it here again on our off-air tool radar scope, and it just doesn't show up as well in our graphics, but on the radar scope, it is an impressive rotation that's still going. And it looks like, if I were to venture an educated guess here, which is what we're here to do, I would say the possible tornado is just south of Woodsboro and almost due east of Walkersville. So moving, this is a mostly rural area, thankfully, but still people do live here.
Oh, yeah.
Moving into the eastern part of Frederick County, getting up towards what's showing up on my map is Sam's Creek and west of New Windsor.
Sam's Creek, okay. Yeah, we saw Sam's Creek a minute ago. So there's Sam's Creek right there. And there's Oldfield and Oak Orchard. So if you're in any of these areas we're mentioning, you got to take cover. I hope you're taking cover. A little bit of lightning with it, although not crazy lightning.
But last few minutes, a few more lightning strikes showing up.
What do you make of the hook around Libertytown right now?
Yeah, I think that is the back edge of that.
Right.
That cell there. And so you guys need to stay in your shelter. You just need to, if you live in or near Libertytown right now, you need to stay in your shelter.
Libertytown, Oldfield, Clemsonville, Oak Orchard, Sam's Creek. Yeah, you're A, all under the tornado warning, and B, you may be in the path of this possible tornado. So I'll widen back out, and there's the big view. And again, the tornado warning now goes until 8:45 for Frederick County. We'll see if this is extended to the east or not, but I can't imagine we're going to wait much longer, Chester, for a storm warning a flood warning for Frederick also. I mean, there has to be some flooding back here as this storm continues to back build a little bit. So that's what we're looking at right now. That's the big picture, and this is, again, a pretty big thunderstorm.
Well, and then, if I may interrupt, the National Weather Service is saying it's possible this storm may be cycling to the south now. So we'll have to keep an eye on that rotation. Again, right over in south and east of Libertytown, there could be some new development there, and a possible new funnel, if there was an old funnel, would be developing there. Again, this is from the National Weather Service. So again, almost due east of Walkersville. Right. And right over that Libertytown area.
Yeah. And it is not uncommon for them to make what we call a right turn and go dip a little bit to the south. And so we'll watch that. So that's a good point. I mean, even if you're outside of this warning right now, and you're like, okay, I'm okay, I'm in Mount Airy. Not necessarily.
Right.
So if you're close enough, I would say I-70. And then points north are still it's still possible you could get hit with this tornado, and it looks like you're going to get hit with some heavy rain no matter what. As the storm is, it's kind of slowed down, and also it's kind of backbuilt. I mean, they got heavy rain still all the way back to Frederick around 180. I mean, that's been extremely heavy for, I'd say, an hour and a half now at this point. I mean, so you're going to have some big time rains. I mean, right now, big time rain, South Jefferson Street, again, around Harry Groves Stadium. Not quite as heavy up toward Clover Hill, but and Monocacy Boulevard. But wow, this has been pretty heavy for quite some time, and it doesn't take much to get some flash flooding going. And we'll zoom a little further in and just go a little further south. So there's up to 70, Industry Lane, Guilford Drive. Certainly around Guilford Drive, and then around Harry Grove Stadium, and then also down south as well. We're down toward a New Design Road and also Crabapple Drive. Again, this is not the tornado threat. This is just simply a flooding threat, and we say it over and over again. Please do not try to cross a flooded street by foot or by car. I mean, either one is not a good idea. Pardon me? What do we have? Oh, okay, Weather Explorer, okay. Yep, they're getting close to the storm. They're running up 270 here. I think they're still in Montgomery County. I don't think they're quite in Frederick County yet, but they're heading, and it's, you know, roads are wet now, a little wetter than we saw because they're closer to the storm, as it were. And that is 15. Oh, that's west of Frederick, right? So that's west of Frederick, and notice that's that storm that kind of backbuilt a little bit, and it's still raining pretty hard there.
Yeah, it's a mess, and it's something just came in from the National Weather Service. Still keeping that tornado warning. Looks like they've updated it. It's again until 8:45. It is reportedly 10 miles east of Frederick, moving northeast at 20 miles per hour. Again, severe thunderstorm radar indicated tornado, so capable of producing a tornado. Not confirmed, but radar indicated. So again, this is not a confirmed tornado, but it looks like they've chopped off the western end of that warning there, Topper.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, I just see that. So now it's essentially Libertytown and Linganore eastward seems to be the threat now. So that's some good news. So McCraig, you're clear. But yeah, they've definitely cut this back a little bit. So still, you know, Old New Windsor Road, Woodville Road, Oak Orchard. We've talked about Oak Orchard a lot this evening, and Clemsonville. I think you've got to you know, take cover, and if you've taken shelter, hopefully you have, stay there. Don't come out yet, because it's just not. We'll give you the all clear, and we don't have the all clear just yet. We just don't have it, and we think the threat for the tornadic activity is now pretty much okay if you're west of Libertytown and over toward Frederick, but still you have heavy rain here, and the heavy storms are still building and pretty intense, even back toward Hagerstown. That's a pretty heavy storm as well, Chester, but nothing severe there, but that's still a very heavy storm. So you guys north of I-70, that seems to kind of be the bullseye here. So here's a tornado warning, and as Chester mentioned, they've chopped it off a little bit. So Libertytown eastward and north, you're still under the warning until 8:45. We talked about this earlier too. If you download our app, we can send you these warnings, and you can pick multiple locations. So if you won't get this warning if you don't want this location. But if you have a location where your grandparents live or your kids are in school, then we can actually give you these warnings for those locations. So right now, again, a smaller area of Frederick County till 8:45, a tornado warning. And it's Doppler indicated. We don't have an eyewitness yet, but still some really heavy rain back along 270, Industry Lane, Guilford Drive, and around just south of Harry Grove Stadium, kind of either side of I-70 and up 85. That's, I would think, causing some flooding, or will be shortly. So we'll zoom back out. There's Libertytown. There's Mount Airy. Okay, there's I-70, and there's Frederick. So that's Frederick, you're okay. Walkersville, you're done with the severe weather in terms of tornadoes. You're not done with the rain. But Libertytown northward, that's what we're kind of concerned about right now. So Oak Orchard is one of the areas we're concerned about, and we'll kind of take all the radar off. So there's Oak Orchard. It's right in the heart on the eastern side of that tornado warning, and that goes until 8:45. We'll zoom in a little bit more, and also concerned about points north of 31. But even if you're down near 26 in Barnes Road, they can sort of take a little right turn. Chester mentioned that earlier, to kind of dip to the south. So anywhere in this warning area, you need to be in shelter right now and just stay there until we say, okay, it's okay. Because right now, Chestnut Grove, you're done. Daysville, you're done. But Libertytown, you're not by any stretch of the imagination. So just sort of, you know, if you're in that area, keep that in mind. This is going to eventually pull off to the north and the east and go up into Westminster and head into Pennsylvania. So the warning goes until 8:15. Anything to add, sir?
Yeah, well, we'll take it to the Weather Explorer.
Oh, good.
And here you go. That's a live view. They're about, what is that, Grace, you were saying about a mile out of Frederick. So I'm hoping, you know, they're staying safe, of course, and hoping everyone else is. I'm hoping what they'll do is probably head into Frederick and then maybe head east from there if they don't find much there. Hopefully there was not any damage, but this is a radar indicated tornado, and the rotation continues at this time on our radar. So we can go back to the radar and you can see that little red box there. This is the wide view, just so you guys know. If you're watching us from DC, you're in the clear, but we have to cover this area because a lot of people do watch us in Frederick County. So there's the warning, there's DC there. So it's quite far off to the north. No issues across Virginia or West Virginia where we had earlier severe weather. But again, this warning east of the city of Frederick and eastern Frederick County is until 8:45, another 15 minutes. Libertytown and points to the east along Maryland Route 26. And again, a little closer in, you can see this is the area that we're concerned about the spin. Looks like Johnsville, Libertytown, Oak Orchard, as Topper was talking about.
Yep.
This is where the possible rotation would be. A fairly broad rotation, but still could be a tornado. The broader rotations tend to not be tornadoes. They just tend to be rotating thunderstorms. But it's still possible that we may have a tornado in this area, hence the warning from the National Weather Service out of Sterling there. So Libertytown and over to Oak Orchard, Clemensville Road, Unionville Road. If you live anywhere along those roads there, a little closer in to Oak Orchard, you can see Oak Orchard Road there, right into town. Barnes Road. Looks like there's Clemensville Road, Bessie Clemson Road, and Unionville Road. Those areas, if you live anywhere in or near the roads I just mentioned, that's where the warning remains in force, again, until 8:45. In effect till 8:45 this evening. Possible tornado, eastern Frederick County, east of the city of Frederick, and probably right at or just east of Libertytown now, and west of Westminster there in Maryland. So we'll continue to track this for you for a few more minutes here, and we're hoping we can go back to regular programming as soon as this warning expires and we know it's clear.
Yeah, we will. We will. I mean, because it's essentially going to be out of our viewing area, but this is, you know, why we, you know, we want to protect life and property, and it's in our viewing area. But once it clears Frederick County, then we, you know, we can pass it off to the Baltimore stations. But I want to just talk about where the storms are going, and notice that I'm going through Futurecast here at midnight. There's still some heavy storms south and southwest of town. Now this is a forecast, yes, but get about till 1 o'clock, the storms kind of jump and go across 95, and then they sort of fizzle out and don't do a lot by morning. And I think also, Chester and I were talking, I think we could see some dense fog tonight. Winds are not going to be up at all once these storms pass, and we're looking at essentially, you know, a perfect fog. If we clear just a little bit, we have no winds, and if you received a shower tonight or a thunderstorm, that's your best chance of seeing fog. But we'll talk more about that tonight at 11. Right now, we'll talk about the radar, and again, big picture, last couple of hours there, the heavy storms. Frederick, same storm that hammered Charlestown and also Romney earlier today. Yeah, notice there are also some showers just developing now west of Winchester, west of I-81. So we'll watch those because we just showed you Futurecast. Futurecast holds those together pretty well. The atmosphere is pretty unstable, and I think it will be more unstable tomorrow, really. So here is a tornado warning, and now they have issued another one and extended this up to Carroll County.
Yep.
So they're taking this seriously. This is a pretty intense storm. And notice how it's still built all the way back down 270 over toward Walkersville. Now, you guys just have to worry about heavy rain in Walkersville, but you folks in these areas that are in the red boxes, you have to worry about the tornadoes. So Libertytown, I think you might be okay, just have some gusty winds. I think if it were a tornado, it might be a little further east of you at this point. But there's the heavy rain still back into Frederick and points west on 70. I mean, it's still heavy rain. It's a little better now around Harry Grove Stadium, so it's pushed a little further to the east finally. But this storm has been, it's kind of a little slower to move, and it's rotating a little bit, and it's also back building. So we have the tornado warning for Libertytown until well, the one in Frederick until 8:45, and then Carroll County goes until 9 o'clock. And once it leaves Frederick County, we will go off the air for you. But right now, Oak Orchard, yeah, we've mentioned that a zillion times tonight, and for good reason. You all could be in the path of this possible tornado. Oak Orchard, north of 26, and up into well, parts of eastern Frederick County. And we'll zoom in a little more. So we got Oak Orchard, we've got Clemsonville Road, and we've got McKinstry Mill Road as well, and also Oak Orchard and Oak Orchard Road. And there's Sam's Creek. All you, if we mention any of those, that's in the possible path of the tornado. So again, we go over this a lot, and it's the same reason we go over the flash flooding stuff, okay, for safety. Go to a hallway. If we have a tornado warning, it means it's happening. Stairs, good. Bathroom, good. If you have to get away from windows, you want to put as many walls between you and the outsides. You want to be off the outside walls and cover yourself with a mattress or a blanket. And then the best place by far, yes, is the basement. Also away from windows if you have a walkout basement. All right, so here is Futurecast. This is 10 o'clock tonight. Still has the big storms now north of Baltimore. That's what's running through Frederick right now. But it has some more showers developing, albeit fairly light. I mean, a little heavier activity between Winchester and Leesburg at 10 o'clock. 11 o'clock, see the yellow and the orange? Okay, a little heavier downpour headed toward Gaithersburg. Temps still muggy, upper 60s, low 70s. By midnight, it's still, now this is the, how do we say this nicely, Chester? This is the model that is most excited about thunderstorms.
The most robust.
It's most robust, thank you. It's bullish, if you will. So notice the red there, you know, around Manassas and south of 66. So yes, they could hold together until midnight. And then by 1 o'clock, now they're across 95 through Bowie and Prince George's County and up into Anne Arundel County. Temperatures haven't moved much. I mean, sometimes thunderstorms go through and we get this big dramatic drop in temp. Not the case here. Still 68 in TC and still 66 in Frederick. By 4:30 in the morning, most everything is gone, maybe a few leftover showers, and then I think if we just get just a little bit of clearing, by the time we get to dawn, we're going to have some, I think we have some fog.
Well, and one thing I'm thinking, Topper, is this evening, I mean, if we do get some storms to come together, we're unstable. We haven't tapped into any of that in Virginia. So I wouldn't be surprised if some of these storms out by the Blue Ridge we see there on the radar actually held together. I mean, I hope not, but it's certainly possible.
Hey, Chester and Topper, it's Adam. I wanted to get some perspective on that and just what you're talking about. When we had this first tornado warning earlier in the night, I think that went off about 6:25, 6:30. It was active until 7. That was impacting parts of Loudoun County and in West Virginia as well. When that tornado warning expired, you guys expressed some, not concern, but you expressed the feeling that it would be unlikely that storm might spin up and produce more. Now here we are. So what is it that is happening in the atmosphere that is making it so likely for this to be happening?
Well, I think we have more shear than we thought. We know the atmosphere is unstable. There's different ways to measure that, but I think you think about shear, you think about different wind directions and different wind speeds over a relatively short distance, both in the horizontal and the vertical. So, like if I were to walk up to you, and I can't because we got to be socially distant, but if I were to push you on your right shoulder there, you would tend to spin. And then if I pushed you on your right knee, you tend to spin the other way. So now you've got shear. You've got different winds, different speeds, and it causes these thunderstorms to rotate. And then not every rotating thunderstorm produces a tornado, but a lot of times when they are rotating, they will drop down a funnel cloud, and that may drop down to the ground, which becomes a tornado. So I think a lot of the models just underestimated some of the parameters we use for deciding whether or not we're going to have severe weather. And also remember, I think more and more, I think Jess and I are kind of convinced it was a tornado but we're not sure yet. It was a Doppler indicated tornado. So this could be a big thunderstorm that produced winds of 60 or 70 miles per hour, but didn't produce any rotation. They still caused those buildings to collapse out in West Virginia. And we'll see what the damage is between Frederick and north of I-70.
And as the severity of this storm leaves our viewing area, is there, and now that we've lost the daytime heating, is there anything to be concerned about that's coming in behind it?
Yeah, I think Chester's right. I think we haven't lost. It isn't like a cold front's gone through and all of a sudden those parameters are kind of lowering and we're becoming more stable. It's not the case. So these storms here that are out still west of I-81 and approaching Winchester could indeed be strong as they move eastward through Leesburg and Warrenton later tonight. And in fact, that futurecast I showed you did actually have them quite strong. Now, that may be a little overdone because that's more of a robust model, but still something to absolutely watch because we're not changing air masses here. When we do that, then we go from unstable to stable. We're going to stay unstable tonight, and I think tomorrow may be more unstable. So these are the warnings. A tornado warning for Frederick still until 8:45, and then it moves up into Carroll County until 9 o'clock. That's a pretty big storm. Good news for Frederick, finally the heavy rain has moved out. So the heavy rain is now away, and we do not see a flood warning issued yet, although I'm a little surprised about that. But now at least Frederick can kind of collect itself, as it were. So there's no rain now, 270 and 355 at Harry Grove Stadium. It's all to the east over toward Patrick Street and a little further east on I-70. But it's a pretty big storm. We measured like 31 miles tip to tail, which is it's a pretty big storm. And it's not like a line of storms that we see with a cold front. So that is this kind of widened this out a little bit. So there are the warnings. Libertytown, you're probably okay in terms of tornadic activity. You're getting hammered with rain. May see some flooding there. And then, so Oak Orchard, yes, that's going to be our next concern. And if we keep mentioning these, hopefully you're sheltering in place, or you're texting someone or Facebooking them or DMing them and saying, hey, have you heard about this? Because you're under a tornado warning. Libertytown, Linganore, technically under the warning right now, but I think it's a little further to your east. I think we're more concerned about Oak Orchard and kind of on the very east side of this warning itself, up towards Sam's Creek, Oak Orchard Road, and Oak Orchard itself. And then once this expires, then it moves in up to Carroll County in northern Maryland. So it's still pretty impressive. And yes, let me show you. I'll show you this one more time. Then I want to show you Futurecast because Futurecast does that. Adam, it does keep these storms together. Interior room, hallway, away from windows, basement's #1. That's the best place to be. So here's Futurecast. So this is 10 o'clock, and notice it still has showers along and east of either side of I-81. And then notice at 11 o'clock, it still has, that's a pretty decent cell. Now, again, this is micro scale stuff we're talking about. So that cell, could be south of Leesburg, could be west of Leesburg. But what I want you to take away from this is that, hey, atmosphere is still unstable, it's still humid, and there's still going to be the chance for some storms, some of which could be hefty, even up to 11 o'clock at night. By 12 o'clock, midnight, look at this. It's going crazy with those storms. Now it's got possibly severe, if not severe, certainly very strong storms, Culpeper, Manassas, and almost across I-66. That's midnight tonight. So it's important to note that, again, we're not changing air masses here. It's going to be unstable through tomorrow. We don't actually change air masses until Wednesday.
So I think that you're saying that we can expect some more of this going into tomorrow. I want to get you and Chester to weigh in on something. We've got this video that came into us from Doug Clark. So this is in Jefferson County in Martinsburg, West Virginia. They were the ones who initially got the brunt of this. I mean, as we're looking at this rain just coming down in torrents there, and here's another just wider shot as you can see things sort of coming in. There was a flood watch or flood warning in part of the area that may or may not still be active. So what are you seeing here, and what can you tell us about this flood warning?
Well, this was the same storm that produced gusty winds there, but was not tornadic, we don't think, at that particular spot. This is a great video from Doug, though. And it certainly tells you and shows you just how heavy the rain was. I mean, the atmosphere is pretty tropical and has a lot of moisture in it.
Yeah, for May, especially.
Yeah, for May.
It feels almost like summer out there with this humidity. And Doug, he's one of our weather explorers. We appreciate him and anyone who sends us pictures, which you could do, by the way, on our the Near Me section on the WUSA 9 app, or you can tweet it to us, email it to us, however you can get it to us. But
Is anyone under a flood concern right now?
We do still have the one flood warning right here, and that does include that Martinsburg area and areas north of Charlestown there again. So that's a flood warning, but the rain there has stopped, which is great news. And then we still have this tornado warning. Now, this is only for a couple more minutes, but I'll run through it real quick. Again, this is east of Frederick, eastern Frederick County, from Libertytown up towards New Windsor there, up into Carroll County. I think, based on what I'm seeing on the radar, I think the rotation is just exiting the county now. So Oak Orchard, I'd still stay in your shelter, but it looks like the rotation with this cell is moving out, which is why the warning's only until 8:45. But if you do live in that Clemensville Road area, Oak Orchard, Clemensville, down through Unionville Road, you definitely want to get in your shelter. Oak Orchard Road there, Sam's Creek, and what is that, McKinstry's Mill Road. My apologies there. It looks like that warning there. A few more minutes on that one, and then it should expire as it goes into Carroll County and moves into those areas for those folks there, Topper.
Yeah, so again, we want to just go over this one more time here, taking shelter, and you should have a plan in place so that you're ready for this when we come on the air and say, hey, tornado warning. Hall, interior room, stairs, want to go away from windows, cover yourself, blankets, mattresses, and of course basement is number one, but also away from windows. So let me go back to Futurecast here. So I want to show you this again. So at 10 o'clock, we still have some showers, and it's still muggy. I mean, it's still upper 60s, low 70s. And then by 11 o'clock has one little cell west of Gaithersburg, but still has some showers back toward Manassas and Culpeper. Then by midnight, it's saying, hey, we could have some big storms south of I-66 down toward Manassas, which is possible. These could actually be further north, up toward Fairfax as well, but just want to, let you know that we're still not going to be in the clear when this first storm leaves Frederick and goes up into northeastern Maryland. We still run the risk of some more showers and storms tonight. And the main threat, I just don't think there's going to be that much shear left, but I think the main threat tonight will be heavy downpours. Some gusty winds, but also a heavy downpour. So that's midnight tonight, and then by 12:30, it's mainly across I-95 into north of Anne Arundel County, north of Annapolis, and back into much of Prince George's County, with some still leftover showers. Temps haven't moved, still in the 60s. So notice the temps haven't moved. Notice these arrows are small. The bigger the arrows, the stronger the wind. So a cold front's not coming through tonight. By 4:30, we still have some leftover showers north of town. So it's 8:45. I think we're okay in terms of Frederick County. We'll come back on the air if these storms develop again. But for now, for Adam Longo, meteorologist Chester Lampkin, I'm meteorologist Topper Shutt. Thanks for staying safely.
This has been a WUSA 9 Weather Alert. Stay safe from the storm wherever you go. Download the WUSA 9 mobile app.
Normal as boots on a cowboy.
That is wow.
Why did I have to marry a preacher?
God's will.
Why am I the only normal one in this family?
Statistically speaking, you're abnormal.
Stop picking on him.